creative writing, your writing skills. You have various topics covering your writing skills. Now, letters can be formal, informal, we are all aware, right? Now, there's one part of the letter which today I would like to cover with you is the letter of enquiry. Now, enquiry or inquiry, is it IN, is it EN? Quite a times a doubt in everyone's mind. So let me clear that for you. Inquiry is when you're talking about a specific thing. You know, when you want to actually go with in a very formal manner, that's your inquiry. And enquiry is when you simply a synonym of ask. You know, you simply ask in general. So that inquiry has a little formal touch. It's a very formal approach where you're asking for something specific. And enquiries, you're just asking about something, right? So more or less the meaning tends to be the same. It's just, you know, it all depends, how you want to frame that letter, according to whom are you approaching, probably based on that, but nothing beyond it. So not to worry, the inquiry and enquiry will not give you a problem. So let's move further and solve all your inquiries pertaining to the letter. Now, what all are we going to cover today? We are going to cover what is an enquiry letter, the format of the letter with a sample, the important tips related to it, and an example. Now, what is an enquiry letter? A letter of enquiry is written to enquire about services or products. An enquiry letter is intended to get all relevant information about a firm you start a relationship with. Now, it can be a letter to know more information about a school before seeking admission, an import company before you import certain goods, or it can be a coaching institute before you join one of its coaching courses. Now, these are the various, types of inquiries that can come up and based on which you have to frame your letters. Now, there is a very important thing, a very common thing I must say that comes across as a teacher I come across where students say, ma'am, these days who writes letters? True, agreed, no one does, but we do write emails, don't we? Now, learning to write a letter is all about learning the framing of sentences, the structure, the format, how you go through, right? So that depends a lot. It all depends on how you frame your sentences, how you begin an email or a letter, and how you do the closing. That also matters. Remember one thing, whenever a person receives your letter, there is an impression. It's your impression that the letter conveys, right? So how you write it really matters. So you need to understand how to use the right vocabulary, how to use the appropriate opening and closing lines, and of course the body of the letter as well. So from that viewpoint, learning to write a letter is very significant, right? It's very important. You must know it. So yes, please watch this video with a very receiving mind, and trust me, it's going to help you lifetime. See, it's not that you are writing letters only for your marks right now. Okay, you definitely further down when you are working, you have to write an email, you have to frame emails. You never know at what post are you working on. So be it whatever post, everyone generally tends to write an email, right? So all these will definitely come handy even then. So yes, please stay glued. Right? So we spoke of the various inquiries and how we are going to deal, we will know soon. So let's first begin with the format. Remember, we always should follow a particular format. Now, if we talk about the format during your exam time, you have particular marks, around 2 marks probably fixed for the format itself. So if you're writing the correct format, those 2 marks are already in your pocket. So, the format is similar to any formal letter, but the language used should be appropriate to the enquiry. So, we begin with the sender's address, the date, the receiver's address, the salutation, subject, body of the letter, complimentary closing, signature, and your name down there below the signature in blocks. That's your format. Now actually let's look at what we just spoke about, the format. Let's look at it with a sample, with an example, right? So here you have the sender's address, right? Then we leave a line, we have the date. Please, I want to bring this to your notice very, very well. Please pay attention, because very, very often I have seen students writing the date in a very different format, for which you tend to lose maybe half to 1 mark. So whenever you write a date in any creative writing, be it any, you remember only one mantra: spell the month. Always. You will not write 12/4/19. No, you will spell the month. So whenever it comes to date, what is the mantra? Get it. Spell the month. Yeah. So you will never lose your marks there. Then you have the receiver's address. He's the director of so-and-so place. So you have his address. Left alignment, always the case. Right now, that's the current way, it is the current approach of the CBSE. We have the left alignment. We do not have commas at the end of the address, which is a very, very old format we had been following, but not currently. Yeah, so no commas. Please pay attention to the format. Again, sender's address, date, spell the month, and then you have the receiver's address, left alignment, no commas. Salutation. Now, obviously, it is a formal letter. You are not writing to your dude. You're not writing to your friend, right? So here you will always, your addressing will be Madam or Sir, Dear Sir, Respected Madam, Respected Sir, can be any of these, right? There is no harm in writing dear, right? There's no problem at all. We use that in formal as well. So that's your salutation, all about it. Coming to the subject. Now, whenever you are writing the subject of a letter, we do not write the whole sentence. It comprises of 3 to 4 words max. It just tells you the gist. See, anyways, you are going to write about its details in the letter. So what you're going to do is just exactly what you're looking for in that letter. You have to put only that much. So this is inquiring about admission procedure, inquiry regarding admission, seeking information regarding admission, regarding tour packages. Any of these inquiries it can be. So you have to make sure that they are literally 3 to 4 words. It has to be very short, crisp and precise. You are telling exactly what you want. You are inquiring about admission procedure. That's all you want to know. Now, what all you want to know comes in the body of the letter. So here it will be only the intro, only the exact thing that you are looking for. So remember, the subject does not first and foremost go beyond a line, right? It is just one line, but still limited max to 4 to 5 words. So please make sure that you take care of this as well. Then you have the body of the letter. Now your body of the letter can be into 3 paras, right? Not a problem. You will leave a line after every paragraph. For instance, if your first para ends here and your second para starts on the next line, how will you know that's a different paragraph, right? So you have to make sure that you leave a line after every paragraph. First paragraph is the details of the inquiry. Second paragraph, it's a brief history, suggestions, statistical data, etc. Your third para will comprise of offer assistance towards communication and assistance. Now, what type of, you want to offer assistance towards the communication? What type of communication? How is it going to happen? All the details, everything about it. That comes on the body of the letter depending on the topic of your letter. Complimentary closing, thanking you, yours sincerely, etc. One more common blunder everybody lands up doing is, if you put yours sincerely, remember, if it is an S, it is an LY. S means yours. S, sincere. For example, you can also write your sincere client or associate or whatever you want to put. So if you're putting your sincere, then the S and the LY both will disappear. But if you are using the S, which is more appropriate, yours sincerely, in that case, the S and the LY always go hand in hand. They always come together, right? Then you have your signature and you also have your name in blocks. Write down. Okay, so this is the format of your inquiry letter. Now, how do you really start? What is the introduction? Please remember, the first line. Now, for example, as a teacher, if I tell you that if I start reading a creative writing, the very first or the first two lines actually tells me what is the level of that student. Yes, it definitely tells me how interesting that topic or that letter is or that answer is going to be, right? So it always matters. Your introduction does make a big difference. So specify what your company is or who you are. For example, ours is a Canada-based telecom company with its base in, so whatever further you want to talk about. But this you will give as your opening. To begin with, mine is an educational institute providing coaching for IAS and NDA. Again, you are starting with such a beautiful note that the opposite person really knows who you are. You are basically telling what your company is or who you are. You have to give that. I would like to get information regarding the availability of latex produced by your esteemed company. You want to know what it is all about? We, Townville School Group, a leading education establishment in Canada, would like to be informed of the terms and conditions. So you see what type of a start you are giving. You are telling either what your company is or who you are and what are you looking for, right? So this is how we lay our first impression. Now, content. Let's look at what the content is all about. What are the courses that your college offers? I believe that these courses are internationally recognized. We intend to enter into a long-term business relationship. Apart from this, we would be glad if you could inform us of the time. How do you prefer us to pay? Do you accept credit card payments? It will be great if I can pay the amount in easy installments. Now, do you see how do you start your sentences with? It is, please don't, stick to your layman's English. Come out of it. Let's get a little more sophisticated with our writing. Yeah. So for the same, you have to make sure that you write it accordingly, depending on what you want to find out, whether the offers, whether the payment, whether you're trying to look for something in particular. So all the way you can use these lines. You can always pause. You can, jot down these lines in your books and keep reading them so that when you start framing your letter of inquiry, you can use these lines. Yes, it's for your comfort. Talking of the closing, how do you generally close it? Your early reply is greatly appreciated. Now, you want them to reply really soon. So you have to, use a lot of words of respect out here. Yeah, you have to make this. Looking forward to an early reply from your side so that we can discuss further business deals in a week's time. So you are telling them that, look, you better reply fast so that we can go ahead with the procedures. So this is how we generally conclude. This is how we generally end our letters. Those are your closing lines. Now, still way more important tips when you are doing this letter, when you are framing this letter. Outline and organize your inquiry. First, understand what your inquiry is all about. You outline that, organize that, gather the information. Appropriate recipient. Obviously, now if you are looking for something related to cloth, you will approach a textile person. Yeah, so you have to have an appropriate recipient. Impressive opening. We already did those lines. You already have it. You can use it as well. Be specific and brief. Of course, regarding whatever you are looking for, which product or service you are looking for, you have to be specific about it and briefly intimate the person. Be straightforward. Straightforward here does not mean be rude or aggressive. Straightforward is you speak on clear terms, right? Because if you land up, keeping the wrong foot, then the deal will definitely not work out. Yeah, it will not benefit you in any way. So yes, be straightforward, but that does not mean you're going to be rude or impolite. Generate and maintain interest. Yes, definitely. You have to do that because if the opposite person, the recipient, does not arouse, any kind of interest through your letter, he will not even look at your offer. Supportive documents, whatever documents are required as per the requirement, you have to keep them. Facilitate the response. Now, either the inquiry comes to you or you make an inquiry. So if there is an inquiry coming to you, you have to even respond to it. You have to revert to it. So there is a way for that as well. Don't worry, you're going to get all the solutions here, not a single doubt. Your word limit should be around 150. Please don't exceed word limits. Remember, okay, how do we go about, do we go and count every word? I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, literally? No, we don't do that. How do we generally do it? See, you know you're writing very well. Now, for instance, if your writing is really big enough, maybe max 6 to 7 words you might land up, covering in one line. All right. So if an average, if you take now, supposing 7, if I take, so if I want to, have 150 word limit, so how many lines should it be? For example, if it is 7, now anywhere around 20 to 21 lines, just an approx. That's how you will do it. You will not sit and waste your time counting the words. You will definitely feel, okay, I have written around 18, 20 lines, I'm done. It has been sorted. But if your writing is smaller and if you are, writing 8 to 9 words, then accordingly you have to count your lines and do it approximately. So don't worry about this. Don't sit and count the, in, off. Don't do that. Offer incentives as per your inquiry. If you are reverting to it, you can also offer incentives to make the deal happen. Review and revise. You have to keep reviewing and revising the entire thing. You cannot just see, there is always a follow-up. For whatever you do, there has to be a follow-up. So you have to take care of that as well. So these are very useful, important tips for you to make sure that you use them. Now, we spoke about everything. We spoke about how to write, the format, the important tips. Now, let's see how we go about it. We actually practically do it with an example. You are Hardeepak Singh, a brilliant student who has completed his class 10th from a small town in Himachal Pradesh where not many facilities are available. Your friend has shown you an advertisement about a coaching center for IIT JEE. Write a letter to the director of Surya Coaching Center asking for more details. Okay, now we are all well versed by the fact. Now when you, that means you are the sender, and you, it's not you, XYZ, you are Hardeepak Singh. You have to remember this. So when you're, yours sincerely, it has to be Hardeepak Singh and signature. So please, these things do matter. And whenever you are reading your creatives, for God's sake, make sure that you read it minimum twice. After you have done half of your letter, I'm telling you this, it's out of experience. Go back to the question again and read it to ensure that you are on track. You will never get misled. You will not, go off the track and start writing something which has not been asked for. So yes, it is definitely some common blunder which people, I have seen students really making, because I have corrected so many. So out of experience, I share it with you, right? So this is the letter he needs to frame. Now, let's look at the example. First, you have your sender's address. Now, do you see the date? Importantly, your address is not more than 2 to 3 lines, 3 max. This is just 2. You don't have to give the entire details. You don't have to give any landmark. It's not the case. So please keep your address limited to 2, max to 3 lines. Can you see the date? Spell the month. Automatically, date, spell the month. Date, spell the month. That's how it goes. Here you have the receiver's address. You're writing it to the director. So obviously you will write to whom you are writing it. Respected sir. Now look at your subject. Yeah, it is enquiry about IIT JEE coaching classes, right? Now here we have not shown it, but here kindly make sure everywhere after everything you kindly leave a line. Now this is with reference to your advertisement in the Indian Express for IIT JEE coaching classes. I have appeared for my class 10 examination from the CBSE and am awaiting for my result. I am keen on joining your institute for the coaching classes. Now this is what he wants to say, so he's put it in para 1. Now so nicely he opened it, he says this is with reference to your advertisement. So now that man, the receiver, knows what is this man actually talking about. So directly he will get connected to the advertisement he had given or he had made. Kindly let me know about the procedure of applying for the screening test and also the date of the test. I would also like to know the duration of the coaching program and frequency of classes per week. Do you see so nicely he's framed it, frequency of classes. He's not saying, and do let me know how many times in a week, frequency of classes. Please learn to make it a little, high quality letters. Information about the fees payable and the study material is also welcome along with a copy of the prospectus. I have heard that yours is a reputed institute and I would like to enroll as soon as possible. Your early response will enable me decide fast. Wow, don't you think it's very well written? Well, if I had to grade this probably out of 6 or 7, I would have definitely given it a 6 out of 7, yes. Yours faithfully, signature. Now signature, you don't have to write the word signature, you have to sign it there when you are writing on your exam sheet. Hardeepak Singh, you remember we had said you have to write your name down there. Yeah, so this is a very good example. You can follow the same, you can pause, you can write it down, and you can also write some more. Of course, you need to practice. Remember, creative writing gets polished the more you practice. Keep practicing, keep getting new vocabulary, keep getting the basic lines, the sophisticated basic lines, and then you can keep using the same. It's not that you have to memorize it, but the number of times that you practice automatically reduces and saves your thinking time during the exam. Remember, you have to score a lot because you have majority of the marks for your creative writing. So if you sit to think, if you sit to ponder, then I'm sorry to say you don't have that much time. Whenever it's a language exam, you have to start from minute 1. You have to start penning, you have to start writing. So to save that time out there, to earn more marks, this is one of the most important steps you have to take care of. Yes, so please be very well versed with all this. Moving further, now you received a letter of inquiry. Done. Okay, you received it, or you even asked for an inquiry. You have given an inquiry. Now let's move you to the recipient's position. Now maybe you are the person who has received an inquiry. So obviously you also ought to revert. You also ought to respond. And how do you do that in the best possible manner? Here it is. You should quickly respond to customers' requests or queries because it shows that you value them. If you write a heartfelt letter, the customers will not only remember your product or service, they will also like your attitude. These days, this matters the most. Every customer to you is like God. God in the sense you need to value them because they have found you suitable enough, efficient enough, and that is why they have approached you. So to keep that level, to keep that impression, you have to do your best. Yeah. So you also have to revert fast. You also have to give a heartfelt letter back to them so that they really like not only your product or service, but yes, they like your attitude. They appreciate your approach too. Your positive attitude boosts the client's confidence in your abilities to meet their needs. The way you respond, the moment you respond, the client is also assured. He is very well assured that, look, I know this is the right person I have approached or the right company I have approached, and I'm sure what I'm looking for, they will satisfy those needs. Mention the client's request, whatever you are. Now this is the reply you are giving. So what request he had put forward to, mention that. Tell the reader how you handled his or her request. Give some information about a particular product or service and promote it. Whatever has been asked, whatever you are offering for the same. Explain the procedure of ordering. Invite the reader to ask any questions he or she has in mind. End on a positive note. Please remember, these are many things that you have to take care of. When you are, actually framing your letter, these things have to be kept in mind. Now, how do you frame it? Now, the language that you use, okay, the words that you juggle with matters a lot. Yeah, so the important language to remember, how are you going to frame it? The start. Now, what is the start? Dear Mr. or Miss, Mrs. or Miss. It's very important to use Miss for women unless asked to use Mrs. or Miss. Now, generally, this is how we use it. Yeah, that's your start. Thanking the potential customer for his or her interest. Thank you for your letter of inquiring, that's asking for information about whatever product. We would like to thank you for your letter of inquiring, again asking for information. These are the different ways you can thank them. Providing requested materials, we are pleased to enclose, or enclosed you will find, or we enclose. This is, we are giving you the details. No, we enclose the details. There's a better way. There's always a sophisticated approach, a better approach. Providing additional information. We would also like to inform you is one of the ways to say that you are providing that additional information. Regarding your question about, you can tell them this is regarding your question that you had posed to us. In answer to your question or inquiry about. Now, these are the different ways you are getting. Now, how do you close a letter? Now, closing a letter, hoping for future business. Now, very important. It's not the current deal that only mattered to you. Maybe that company is really big. Maybe it is something which will help you in the future as well. So you want to make sure that you close it on such a note that it helps you further as well. So closing a letter, hoping for future business. We look forward to hearing from you, receiving your order, welcoming you as our client or customer. Yeah, so now these are the ways you can conclude your letter, because you want more business in future. You are looking at it for a long term, not a short term. Signature, yours sincerely. I already told you, SLY. If the LY is not there, the S also doesn't come, right? Remember, use yours faithfully when you don't know the name of the person you are writing, and yours sincerely when you do. Very important to remember. Now, you will use yours faithfully when you don't know the name of the person. Maybe you are talking to someone, just the director, you don't know actually who the person is. Once you start knowing the person, you can start using yours sincerely. So yes, these things really add a spark in your letter. They actually enhance it. They actually add grace to it. Now, again, here are a few sample lines which you can use for your letter. Thank you for your interest in whatever product or service name. To answer your question, put that list, the price, the availability. I have also attached a copy of detailed specifications and prices for your reference. Please just watch every word. Watch the structure of the sentence, the framing of the sentence. It matters. The other way to do it, I would like to know your requirements in more detail and explain to you how our products or services can help you in that regard. Perhaps we can arrange a meeting maybe next week at a mutually convenient time and place to discuss more. Very formal, very polite touch. In the meanwhile, if you have any questions or need more clarifications, please do not hesitate to contact me. Looking forward to doing business with you. Here, the deal has not been finalized. So you are looking forward to doing business with that person. So these are the different lines you can use. Now, we've always said practice makes man perfect. Yeah. You have been furnished, you have been equipped with all the details. The format, the lines, the vocabulary, the structure of, framing your sentence, how you actually structure your sentence, that also matters. Everything from A to Z has been provided to you for the letter of inquiry. Now, After reading those once again, after watching this video once again, I want you to attempt these practice questions. Once you do that, for reference, please refer to the examples which have been explained beforehand this. Now you need to make sure that you practice these questions. So you have this question where you want to write a letter to the director of the center seeking necessary information about her admission to their 8 weeks summer course in leadership. Please frame it as per the enquiry. The next you have is a leading fashion jewelry manufacturer advertised for distributors of Italian fashion jewelry. They received a letter from Miss Anita Bell, proprietor of Ogan Apparels, Mall Road, Shimla. She wanted to know about the jewelry items being manufactured and the initial investment she would have to make for stocking the jewelry. Write a letter answering her queries. So this is what? This is a letter of respond. This is a letter when you are replying to the enquiries. So you have a practice of both. Of course, you have to do many more, but then yes, to begin with, start here and then keep practicing. We do not stop here. So again, I had started this with a note that why writing a letter is important. So to send a letter is a good way to go somewhere without moving anything but your heart. You don't have to move anything. When you're writing a letter, you're just writing. But then all you have to move is move your heart. That means you have to express your emotions. Yes? So I'm sure you have got it by now. And for the same, for still more topics, keep watching, keep learning.